everyone, welcome back to my channel. As usual, my name is Midwife Sally, and what we do is to help pregnant women go through pregnancy without worrying that something will go wrong. Today we are bringing you another exciting episode, okay? So we are going to talk about cesarean section, okay? We are going to compare cesarean section to vaginal birth. This is a huge topic. Anytime I bring it up, there's a lot of controversies. People say, oh, I want CS. Some say vaginal birth, some say CS. So today, I have a mom who has experienced both, and she's going to tell us the facts. Yes, the facts about cesarean section and vaginal birth. Okay, so she's in the person of Madame Jemima Boake. Okay, so welcome back to
Thank you.
Yeah,
it's always a pleasure being here.
Thank you for coming. The last time we talked about the pregnancy cravings and it was great. Yes, so today we are going to compare vaginal birth and cesarean section. Yes, there's a lot of people young people are watching, people like me. I've had only normal vaginal births, okay? So I don't think I'm in the best position. I can do that in the health-wise, okay? But when it comes to experience, we need a mom who has gone through both to tell us her opinion. So, vaginal birth, tell us about your vaginal birth experiences. Do you think it was easier compared to the CS?
I've had three vaginal births. My first wasn't a pleasant experience. I had to labor for 17 hours before my baby finally came out. And so it was a no-do for me. I would have been opting for a CS session if I knew there was something like that initially. I thought it was a very complex process.
You thought CS was
Yes, it was a very complex process. So when my second, immediately I got to the hospital. I think in the next hour I gave birth.
Wow.
Yes. The third, I didn't even know I was in labor. I only felt like pain, and it was so intense that I couldn't hold myself. So the midwife, I remember when I got to the hospital, said, "Are you due?" And I said, "I'm 39. I'm not 40 yet." I said, "You lie, and let's check." And before she could even finish, I pushed the baby out.
Wow.
So that was fast. Okay, so I thought, I said, first one in chair, second one in there, I had Tama chain. And then the third one, I didn't even have to,
fast.
yes.
Wow.
So the fourth should have been faster. But the fourth was a different story. When my baby went into distress and we had to take her out by CS. It was fast. I escaped the pain. I escaped the pain, but it was something else. It was something else I experienced. Because I had not gone through it before, I had to, right from the theater, I realized a lot of air entered me. I was shivering, shivering so much.
Yes, let me come in
Okay.
that place because
Okay.
there's this medication
Okay.
we give right in the theater to help your uterus to contract. We call it, maybe I may not need to mention it because people are listening. Okay, so we give you a medication to help your uterus to contract. Yeah, so it has a side effect of making you shiver. So it may not necessarily be the air. Yes. So it's something that always happens. I work in the
always
theater
thought
now.
because the air condition was so much, was very cold in the theater.
It could be a factor, but then there's a medication we can give after CS to help your uterus contract. It has a side effect of making people have chills. Yes, and so we have to give them a warmer on the warmer.
Okay.
So
And so when I came back, I hear I was not supposed to move, but I kept moving because I was eager. I've had 3 boys, and this time I have a girl.
wow.
I wanted to see how she looked like. I wanted to see how, it was a mixed feeling. And so I kept moving, tossing my head from one side to the other, trying to see how the baby's face is like and all of those. And I hear it gave me a strong effect in my head.
Yeah.
I started having blurred vision just in the hospital. I couldn't see properly. I couldn't move my neck. and it was that intense it lasted for about 5 days. After I was even discharged, I had to come back and complain. They had to put me on tramadol. And with the tramadol, I realized when the baby sucks the breast milk, she also goes off. You know, it kind of makes her...
It could go through the breast milk.
Exactly. It kind of makes her dizzy. So I find her sleeping all through the day, all through, not even opening her eyes. And once she sucks, you know, she looks drowsy. Yeah, so at a point I had to limit the tramadol and go through the pain. The pain after CS is something else. When all the medicine has waxed off your system, and look, you know, with our mothers will tell you, there's a flavor that you get, okay? And when you use a blender, there's a flavor you get. I mean, you don't get the flavor with apotoiwa.
Yeah.
Yes, that's how I'll compare natural birth to cesarean sessions. Cesarean session is fast, but the effect is something else. But for the natural birth, you go through severe pains, but once it's done, it's done. You are free.
You can walk, you can
I can go everywhere. By the next 3 days, in fact, I'm sure I could climb a mountain. But for the CS, you know, the pain, at a point, I felt like the wound was getting, I don't know, it felt like, and then I saw my stitches trying to come out. I had to rush back to the hospital. It wasn't a pleasant thing. I couldn't carry my baby. I couldn't sit because, you know, you still have the belch, and then it falls on the cuts, and it's so painful. I wonder how those who have 2, 3 go through, because it's really unpleasant. It was my first, but I never wished to have gone through it again. I would always advise that every mother try, especially if it's your first and you really don't have issues.
If you don't have issues. So she's saying if you don't have issues, okay, so if there's no problem, you just don't go and say, cut me, like, yes. Some people have made it look as if it is a luxury, like you should just go and say, oh, yes. So I intentionally chose this topic so that we talk about it, because I remember bringing a topic up and telling mothers that during session, she had an emergency. Her baby was in distress. She was anemic. They had to save the baby, so they had to bring the baby out. So there was a reason, it was needed. So you didn't just say, oh, this is what I want.
I remember when they told me I had to go through a CS, I was still saying, no, induce me. I prefer to have gone through
an induction.
Yes, an induction and then have the baby. But because the baby was in distress,
they wouldn't have time.
Yes.
So I wanted to ask this question. Do you think that with all that you went through, probably you were not really prepared, like you didn't make up your mind, you didn't ever think of going through CS? Because if you should have learned about it, I'm sure your experience would have been much better. Like not lifting up your head, care of the wound, what you should expect, and all that. Yeah, so could we say that there could be a knowledge gap when it came to like your cesarean section birth? Yes, because a lot of mothers, like in my class, I always tell them that we all want normal vaginal birth, but learn about cesarean section, because there could be times when you don't expect certain things, and that is not the time you are going to learn. And it is always better when you are prepared for something. Yes, but in your case, I'm sure it was like 100%, your mind was just vaginal birth, so you never dreamt of it. So to some extent, I mean, it will make your experience look a bit unpleasant to some extent, because you had not really prepared for it. Yeah, so what do you think? Did you have enough education concerning the session, what to expect?
No, please.
Self-care after
nothing,
the session?
Nothing at all. It just came, boom. I wasn't prepared at all. you know, I knew it was a cut, and so I had to keep myself, not walk so briskly. But I'm really not that kind of person. So sometimes I forget I went through a session, and then I want to wake up, and then I feel the pain.
You probably remind yourself.
Exactly. You see, when I want to turn, I'm somebody who loves to sleep.
On your tummy.
Exactly. But this time around, I couldn't because of the pain. I couldn't turn. I had to take one position. It's either my side or the other side, you know. So it was nothing I prepared for psychologically, and I didn't even know how to treat the wound properly, because at a point I felt like there was infections. Sometimes, you know, the pain of going through anapebia, you would have to dab with Savlon, you would have to, it was too much of a process for me. I was a mother of 4 then, no help, and I would have to take kids to, you know, get the younger ones prepared before the baby, and there was less time for myself. So sometimes you skip some of the, you know, and when I started feeling like the wounds were not getting healed fast enough, I had to take proper attention and keep the wounds well, because they could get infected. I went to the hospital, the doctor said I had to sit up with it, else it could get infected and it would be something else. So as you said, you need to prepare before any eventuality happens.
Very important. Yes. So with the cesarean session, I want us to raise an important point here. Yes, a lot of mothers also frown against the cesarean session, even when they need it. Like, what would be your advice? Because with your case, maybe you would have even used that baby.
Yes. Pregnancy is a very difficult thing, and people actually go through a lot to have babies, especially those who have fertility issues. And God blesses you with one, and you, at the end of the day, you want to mess it up because you've gone into crisis. The doctors are advising you, and you say, no, for my faith, the Lord is there. In fact, He's there for everyone. But for my faith, I won't go through this, I won't go through that. Sometimes, just sometimes, I think the medical professionals tell us what is actually good for us. Because with my case, I've not experienced it before. My baby was in distress, myself, I couldn't even catch my breath. So if I said no, induce
Someone
me.
will say, I'm waiting for my pastor to confess.
Hey!
We see that all the time. 1 hour, 2 hours, you're waiting for confirmation. But at that point, every minute counts.
Every minute counts.
Yes.
Because I remember they told me in the next hour, that baby needs to come out, else I'm going to lose the baby. And I felt, you know, the baby wasn't moving anymore. I couldn't feel the kicks anymore. I think the whole day I couldn't feel the kicks. Okay, so I kind of believed what they were telling me, and it saved the baby. It did. I wouldn't have had my girl. The girl I've so longed for. Why?
You can imagine.
So
you can imagine.
I wouldn't take risk at that particular time. So I think every mother should kind of allow the medical practitioners in the final moments to take the best decisions for them.
So that's great. I think we have heard it all. I'll encourage all mothers, whether vaginal birth, during session, what is important is that you are safe and your baby is also safe. And make sure that you are always working with your doctor and with your midwife when it comes to the kind of birth you should have. During session, vaginal birth, plan your birth together with your doctor and with your midwife. What are your final words?
Oh, I pray every mother goes through a normal birth, because with my experience, it was fast, but I didn't really enjoy my CS session. So I pray God comes through for every mother to be able to experience the vaginal birth. It's an experience, you know, going through the labor, push, and then the baby comes out. It's full of joy. So.
That is great. So thank you so much. We are sitting at RB Park Hill Hotel here in the Pampram district. Okay, so you can come here for all your programs. All you have to do is to call their number that is being shown on the screen. Okay, so my name is Midwife Sally. Keep following us on Facebook, Instagram, and on TikTok, and here on YouTube. Bye.